Hey guys, today we're going to be going over the 6 tacticians that are currently in Forged to Fight, and we're going to be ranking them in order of who I think is the best to the worst. And of course, this is an opinion video, so let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with me, or do you guys think some of the bots are out of order? Yeah, let me know. So let's get started. The number 1 tactician and overall best bot in the game at the moment is Optimus Prime, in my opinion. He's got 2 really nice passives. So the first one is his heavy attacks grant an X number of attack buffs per team member, ×2 for raids or alliance mission battles, and ×4 for story and special missions. This helps improve his damage output tremendously, and once the opponent is armor broken, every time you get these attack buffs, you just notice the attack difference right away. The other passive is whenever he blocks, he generates an armor buff, which he can constantly keep it refreshed throughout the fight. This really helps improve his survivability even against characters that he's at a class disadvantage against. And I never paid attention to the percentages, and it's like another little side passive, but he gets plus 13.5% armor per team member against melee attacks. So I know his armor buff doesn't last as long as like MV1's, but still, if you have like a full team in like story or special missions, that's a 54% increase to his armor against melee attacks, which is just amazing in my opinion. His specials 1 and 2 apply temporary armor breaks, while his special 3 applies a permanent armor break. This in turn helps to amplify your damage output. It works extremely well in combination once he's duped with his signature, which allows you to apply continuous bleeds on crits on an armor broken opponent. The thing I love best about this is there's no bleed on crit RNG like with other bots such as Windblade or Drift, where they have to first land a crit and then there's a chance at them applying a bleed. With this guy, if you crit, you will apply a bleed. He also has some really strong synergies with a lot of the Decepticons as well as Autobots in the game, but by far the best one is his synergy with Ratchet, which is a heal that can activate based on how much lost health your Optimus is at, and the amount of heal is determined by the base health of your Optimus. So if you have a 4-star rank 5 Optimus Prime, mine's at like 15,000 health, and he heals over 1,000 health every single time it activates, which is absolutely amazing. And this synergy in combination with all of his attack buffs, his armor breaks, and the bleeds makes him, in my opinion, the best tactician and overall best damage dealing bot in the game at the moment. Right behind Optimus is Megatron. He has an interesting kit that revolves around fusing debuffs on the opponent, and that is where his true power comes from. Every 6 seconds he gains 3 charges on his heavies, which allow him to permanently fuse debuffs. His special 1 armor breaks, his special 2 is an attack debuff, and his special 3 is a shock proc. He can become unstoppable whenever he's knocked down based on his health, and his medium combo refreshes debuff duration, and what this means is once you've applied a permanent debuff, you can continue to applying debuffs like armor breaks, attack debuffs, or shock procs, and just keep refreshing them over and over again with the medium combo. And having 2 shock procs or 3 on the opponent, I'm not sure if you can stack 3, I haven't actually tried, but 2 of them you definitely start seeing the damage and the health of your opponent go down. And finally, his signature allows him to steal a buff for 5 seconds. At signature 5, it's 20%, so this works really well at stealing like armor buffs or melee damage buffs from opponents. And overall, his kit just makes him an extremely solid pick for the tactician class. Coming in third, we have Starscream, who's basically a ranged buff nullifier. His null rate grants him plus 20% ranged crit chance, 100% chance to nullify armor, melee, or attack buffs, and instant shock damage, dealing 70% of attack based on rank. At rank 2, I think it increases to 75, and it just keeps increasing after that. His heavy attacks have a chance to inflict burn, and he has a very low chance to evade enemy heavy attacks. I think in like his description it calls him like a coward or something, which is pretty funny. His special 1 increases range damage and speed. His special 2 has a chance to apply armor break for 7 seconds, and his special 3 nullifies 5 buffs. His signature, Nullify All Hope, grants his null ray a chance to remove any type of buff. This includes crits, crit damage, what else is there? Special damage, resistances, it all just ends up adding up. And if this guy can attack you with like 3 range attacks while you have buffs up and his nullify all hope applies, you take instant burst damage, basically is what I like to call this guy. If you fought him in alliance missions or in ROK, this guy is definitely not one you want to have any buffs with when you go up against him, because he just instantly destroys your bots, and that's what makes him like a really strong character. At first I didn't think he did much damage, and he doesn't do too much with like his his specials, but it's all comes down to the null ray and you using him in right situations against characters like MB1 that continuously get armor buffs and melee attacks, and he just completely destroys the majority of the brawlers. Up next we have Bumblebee, and even though he doesn't have his 4-star release yet, I think he's still slightly better than the other 2 tacticians we haven't gone over yet. And it all starts with his signature, Alacrity. So this allows him to switch between ranged and melee calibration modes, which basically means every time he gets hit by like a melee attack, he has a percentage chance to evade the melee attack, and once he gets hit by ranged, he switches to ranged calibration mode, which means he has a chance to evade range attacks and vice versa, back and forth as he continues getting hit throughout the fight. And also grants him an attack buff after dodging incoming melee attacks for 6 seconds. His damage does take a little bit to ramp up, but once it's ramped up and fully stacked, he can do considerable amounts of damage. Each heavy attack grants him a 10% attack buff up to a max of 15. His specials 2 and 3 deal shock damage, increased damage if the opponent has an armor buff, and he also starts the fight with an attack buff per fallen teammate for 8 seconds. Hurry up with this 4-star release, kabam. Second to last, we have Dinobot. I know you guys are wondering why did I put him so low. I think his main strength comes from the Swordmaster synergy, but by himself I don't think he's the best tactician compared to everybody else. For starters, his signature, I don't think it's really that good. On blocking, armor broken opponents gains block penetration and a chance for attacks to become unblockable. I haven't really had this activate too often for me. Like, I've armor broken the opponents, and at a low signature, this definitely doesn't seem to be worth it. I know you probably need to have him duped multiple times to make this a usable signature and have it proc often, but I don't think it's really that good. His sword attacks have plus 17% armor piercing. His crits have 80% armor piercing. Blocking melee hits has a chance to deal damage to the opponent. This is actually really good, especially his whenever he blocks dashes, it applies an armor break to the opponent. So this works really well as a counter against Motormaster. His heavy crit applies bleeds, but they don't stack. So you can keep refreshing the bleed on heavies, but it's just not going to stack. His special 1 has a chance to armor break, his special 2 is only a 7-second crit buff, and his special 3 has a chance to heal him and a 14-second crit buff. The heal sounds nice, but it's not that big of a heal, especially since you have a chance at getting the heal. So overall, he's not the worst bot, or not the worst tactician, but he's definitely not the best. I think he's definitely like mid tier. You can probably switch him around with Starscream and Bumblebee, but not a top bot in my opinion unless he's paired with the Swordmasters. Last but not least, we have Ultra Magnus. His signature, offer 1, he gains 9% attack per alive teammate and per fallen opponent. He gains 5.7 physical resistance per alive teammate and per alive opponent. As far as I know, it's been broken since beta, where Kabam doesn't know how to fix it or how to make it work. Where, I mean, if you can imagine, like if you go into a story mission, you run through a path, there's like 10 bots that you probably have to go through. What about the rest of the paths? Like, does this signature apply to every single bot that you've gone up against, that you haven't gone up against? So even they don't know how to, or they didn't know how to, like, I guess, get it to work. I don't know if it's been fixed since this version 5.0 update. I just play Ultra Magnus in the arena, so if you guys know if it's been fixed, then this could make him a really strong character, but as far as I know, he's still down in the lower tiers. His range attacks nullify attack or melee buffs, and he gains cumulative physical or energy resistance up to 10 stacks, and 1 stack of the opposite resistance is lost whenever he's hit by either physical or energy. All of his specials convert enemy armor buffs into armor breaks. His Special 1 has a 50% armor penetration, Special 2 has a 75% armor penetration, and his Special 3 has a chance to inflict burn. So yeah guys, that's the list. Let me know how you guys would rank all of these characters. Looking forward to knowing what you guys think. So thanks for watching and stay tuned for the upcoming classes.